Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news stream for the 6th of November. I can't even say November, apparently. Welcome everybody. I hope that you all enjoyed that latest JF-17 tutorial, all about the C-802 AKG cruise missile. I hope you enjoyed me zooming in there and blowing stuff up. It's a good bit of fun. A little bit tricky to use effectively, as you saw in the video there. But if you put a bit, if you practice using it a bit, put a bit of planning into how you're going to employ it, it could be very effective. Welcome to the stream, Mark S. Welcome Tog. Welcome Fair. Welcome Byron. Welcome Channel Right. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Next week, so which exciting weapon will we cover next week in the JF-17 tutorial? There's still a bunch of stuff to look at. We've got the kind of Chinese version of the JDAM. We've got the laser rockets, the Chinese laser rockets, a bunch of all kinds of cool stuff. I think I will probably go for the laser rockets, but you guys, feel free to give me your preference in the chat, and I will very much consider that. Checks for Wagner video. Yes, we're all very excited to see what he's going to show us next. So, without any further ado, let's carry on with the DCS news, and as always, I welcome the one and only dotChuckles. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. It is another Saturday, and I come to you live from the attic.
Woohoo! Excellent. Welcome, sir. So another slightly quiet week this week. However, we did receive one of those things that we do always enjoy so much to receive. A delicious Apache video from our man, Matt Wagner.
Yes. Yeah, it has been a bit of a quiet week apart from that, though. So, but yes. I am sure we shall fill the hour like we always do with nonsense and wild speculation and inaccuracy.
Yay! Yes, if we're not going to get fed facts, then we're going to make stuff up.
Yes.
As it should be. Channel Right, for your information, I don't think the fire and forget functionality was ever implemented for that version of the missile in DCS. Yeah, that certainly seems to be the case, Channel. I was under the impression that it would still hit the intended target if you did not intervene with man in the loop. It seems that if you don't intervene, it just keeps flying straight. I don't know if that's realistic or not. You would expect a cruise missile to actually hit the coordinates you give it. But who knows? Cool. Tornado rumor time. Chuck, what do you say? Tornado rumor time?
Yeah, it's happening. Apparently Heatblur are signed on. We're getting a GR1, speculation that we were going to get the GR4. I think it was a bit unrealistic, too much classified stuff. So there we go. That's definitely happening.
You heard it here first.
I wish.
Yeah. Although
I wish.
I heard rumors that our man Frantic Stone himself was funding development of a tornado module.
That's what I heard out of his own pocket. Like he's coughing up the readies to make a tornado module.
The billions and billions of pounds necessary to make a fully realistic tornado module.
Yeah. Either that or he's just buying a tornado, one of the two.
Yes. Cool. Okay, well, let's start, as we always do, by taking a quick look at the newsletter. It's quite thin today. There's not that much in it. But one of the big things they talk about... Oh, thank you very much, Channel Right.
Ooh,
very,
nice.
very kind,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much. Yes, the stable version of DCS has been updated to match Open Beta. So stable is now
always a bit of a disappointing week when that happens. Like I'm sure it's great for the people who are on stable, all 4 of them.
Probably very sensible people who are on stable, because by the time they get it, it's going to be a bit more stable, as the name might suggest. Some bugs will be squished.
I'd actually really like to know how many people are on stable.
Chat, tell us who's on stable.
Yeah, is anybody actually on stable and not open beta? Because I would have thought most people would have been on open beta because they want the latest thing, and modules usually always release on open beta first, rather than stable. So or do people maintain both? I don't know. It seems strange. Yeah, Fair FM. Nobody.
Fair asserts very strongly that nobody uses stable.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark S. He's a stable genius. Well, you know, I think it is a smart move. Unfortunately, I am an absolute whore for the features, and so I can't bear to wait until they reach stable, so I must have open beta.
I mean, do you know what? I actually suspect that it's quite a lot of people. In the same way that we have sort of a bit of a confirmation bias around the whole multiplayer single player thing, and that we think that everybody plays multiplayer when actually it's quite a small percentage play multiplayer. Yeah. You know, people who are very vested in DCS play multiplayer and are on open beta, but I would imagine that it's probably quite a large percentage of the normies who aren't utterly obsessed like we are probably on stable.
Yep, I think that's a very fair assessment. I think it's very likely that many people are using stable. Mark S used to have OB but ran out of space. Well, see, you don't have to install both. But anyway, makes perfect sense, though. So in any case, stable has been updated, which is a good thing, trademark. The HDU of the AH-64D displays important navigation, sensor, and weapon system data to the crew. Please check out the second video in the tutorial series. Well, do you think we should do exactly as he instructs?
Let's go and have a look at that, and we'll talk nonsense over it. Yeah,
let's do exactly as he suggests. Very good video if you haven't already seen it. As always, well worth a look. He's demonstrating that there are 4 modes. Now, let me see if I can remember. We have cruise, we have transition, we have hover.
Yep.
And what's
hover bob up?
Bob up, thank you. I forgot bob up.
Yeah. So apparently cruise gets used very little. Is my understanding, because the Apache is not IFR rated. In fact, it is an emergency to be caught in IFR in a Apache. So the cruise page with the bars on it tends to apparently not get used, and they just sort of spend their time in the transition mode. It's like flying IFR in Apache is apparently not a thing. It doesn't happen. Well, according to Casmo, who I think is probably a good source of information.
Exactly. I think we can trust Casmo. I think the community trusts Casmo. Fun fact, the place he's showing off became an Apache airbase after being cleared of insurgents. Oh.
Yep. It was then also bombed. It was then also bombed to oblivion by the Air Force later on, I think in 2019.
Oh. Okay.
It's changed hands a few times. But yes, it was an Apache base. I think it was in 2019. It was then bombed by the Air Force after they'd given it up. So
I'm laughing right now because I thought I would try the closed captions because there's a lot of talking in this video, and I thought, hey, maybe people can see what he's saying. But it's the automatic closed captions, and most of it seems to be kind of correct, but there's the occasional really bizarre thing that it says.
Yeah. So the interesting thing was that Casmo, who himself and Burundus, pretty much for me the definitive sources on hot takes on the Apache. Yes. Both being ex-Apache drivers. Casmo put a video out, probably about 30-40 minutes after I think this video came out. And he was pretty positive about the implementation that he was seeing. And the one thing that he noticed and commented on was that Wags was making the mistake of all new Apache pilots in bob-up mode. Which is he was chasing the symbology, so he started circling the soup bowl.
Yes.
And he was like, just stop, just look outside the aircraft.
I also watched
Use
this
the
video
symbology to help you.
I also watched this video where Casmo is kind of analyzing Wag's video, and it was super good. And he was saying that after a period of time, after they kind of start to figure out how to hover the helicopter, they actually stop looking at the symbology because it will cause you to tend to overcorrect.
It's similar to sort of people when they first learn to fly GA aircraft, they start chasing the VSI when they're trying to fly straight and level, and they end up going into pilot induced oscillation because they can't understand that the VSI is super sensitive and also a bit delayed.
Yes, it's so clear that both of us are real world pilots, because that was exactly the example that I was going to give as well. All pressure based instruments have a lag. Some of the aircraft that I fly even have digital instruments, and depending on the implementation, the digital instruments can lag even more than the mechanical ones.
Yeah, that's right. Because you've got the pitot system, and then you've got an analog to digital converter as well in that chain. So
exactly, earlier Garmin G1000 based systems. If you watch that VSI and chase it, you are never where you think you are.
I mean, and it's not even in. Just in general aviation aircraft, even in fast jet. You can have a serious issue if you're relying on pressure instruments in a dive, because your altimeter can be lagging quite severely. And with the performance of a fast jet, you could be 1,000 feet lower than what you think in a dive.
Oh, yes.
So if you're basing your pullout in bad weather on your pressure instruments, you might introduce yourself to a mountain. So it is a thing.
You've also got shock cone effects and all kinds of other stuff with very fast aircraft. This is a total aside. I know we're talking about it, but have they modeled shock cone effects on the pitot? They have
in DCS. I can't, because I've seen videos of the F-16 going through the sound barrier and watching the altimeter and
the VSI
speeds, just VSIs that just go and do weird things.
Yes.
Right at the point that they go supersonic. Is that modelled? I've not noticed it.
It in fact is modelled. And it kind of, this is another case of heat blur kind of forcing the issue, in my opinion, because they simulated it first, only for the F-14. And then I think Eagle were kind of like a little bit sheepish, like, oh, our modules don't simulate this. And they then added...
We should probably do that.
Yeah, they then added general simulation of that across... I believe it's now simulated across all aircraft, but certainly the F-18 and the F-16 simulate it.
Nice. Oh, that's really good. Sorry, it was totally beside the point, but it's not like us to go off on tangents. So yeah, back to this video.
Yes.
The implementation here looks really impressive, and certainly the expert opinion outside of ED has said this looks really impressive. And Casmo's comment was that it was going to be really interesting to see DCS players going through the same battles as Peter pilots coming on the Apache.
Yes.
And making the same mistakes. So there's going to be I think a fair amount of learning curve going on.
They clearly already have a huge amount of detail in this module because, one thing that both Matt and Casmo pointed out was that Matt is flying out of kilter right now. You'll see that his ball isn't centered.
Yeah, he's totally out of trim. Yeah.
So he mentions this himself. He says, "I'm not a helicopter pilot." Something that Casmo pointed out later in the video is that the pinvis is slightly rotated in his view, and it's because he's flying skew whiff.
He's flying out of trim. Yeah. I think we can forgive Matt Wagner because Matt Wagner, as I understand, has to use the twist function on his joystick.
Yes.
He's very difficult to keep it in trim. I would imagine for him the fact that Matt flies a helicopter to the level that he does is really, really impressive.
Actually, that is a really good point. Matt Wagner is a wheelchair user, so I think we can
cut him some slack.
We can cut him some slack because this is not the easiest of things at all for him to do.
No. I couldn't even begin to fly a helicopter with a twist, with a twist stick. Like, so I don't know how he does it. It's pretty superhuman.
Yes.
So we'll cut him a bit of slack. Yeah.
He gets a pass on that one. But you know, I loved the fact that it was visible in the pinvis. Like strict, because some people were commenting. They're like, "Oh, you know, is the pinvis broken? Why is it sitting like that?" And Casmo was like, "No, that's exactly how it should look when you're flying out of trim," which is just a beautiful detail. I really like that. Byron asking if we covered the Airgis F1 Airshow video last week. We did, in fact. We did cover that when it happened.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm liking here is, so down the bottom right,
yes,
you can see his, I think, now if I understand the HT correctly, that is the source that he is tracking. If you see the crosshairs, he's got some dots.
Yes.
And the source that he's got selected there is his co-pilot gunner, effectively. So the thing that I think is going to be really useful from a multiplayer point of view is you're now going to be able to see directly where your CPG is looking.
Yes.
By following those dots. So
he actually he went over this in a much earlier video. I forget which one, but he covered the meaning of the dots on the center cross.
Yes, you're right. It was the initial IHADS video. Yeah. See, here we go. This is it. It's tilted off, and you can see how far his ball is out of trim.
Yes.
So that's why, like, everything's all a bit cockeyed, and it's because the pinvis is effectively now at an angle and turning at an angle because everything's out of trim.
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful level of detail that you know we even noticed this. Really good.
So I mean, it proves that the point of origin for the sensor camera is the pinvis.
Yes,
it's not they're not doing some sort of kind of 0 point in coordinate space and going, that's good enough. It's actually, it is coming from this point, and it is coming from a thing that is rotating on its axis. I mean, that's some serious detail right there.
Well, we've come to expect this from Eagle. They do simulate some really nice details. I like this. You see the way that the real image and the pinvis image are kind of merging. You can see the lights IRL coming through the canopy, but at the same time the pinvis image overlaid over the top. It's very, very nice.
Yeah, and of course we will only have infrared. I think it's infrared in the pinvis.
That's correct. Yes.
It's not low light. They didn't get the blended mode, I think, until the E model. So they don't have like a fused mode.
Yeah, no, this version is infrared only. So pretty damn cool. I'm gonna leave this playing. I'm just gonna start it at the beginning again because we're still chatting away, and it's good to have something in the background. I'm gonna turn off the closed captions because they're almost useless.
And of course, demonstrating that the shroud can be hidden.
Oh yes, that's right.
Settings.
Yeah, he does show that early on in this video. Which is cool. I think, like, especially for VR, you'd probably just want to turn that off, I think.
Yeah, so and that kicked off a discussion.
Yes, indeed.
Because what it didn't show in the settings was the option for left eye, right eye, or both.
Which we're about to see now.
So it's in this option that's missing. It's missing.
Actually, which causes let me pause this. Sorry, and you continue.
Yeah. So there we go. We see the IHADS monocle visible option, but in every other sys every other module that has some kind of pilot helmet mounted system, they have an option for which eye or for both. Now for me, that's quite a big thing. I have A, I'm left eye dominant, and B, I have degraded eyesight in my right eye. So I can still use VR because with stereoscopic vision, it's fine. The brain sort of just cancels it out, and it kind of copes with the fact that this eye is different to this eye, because brains are wonderful. But if you feed something only to this eye, only to my right eye, can't do that. Because it doesn't have enough the brain can't cope with it, and what I get is a blur. So I understand in the real Apache that you don't have that option, and but of course for this is a computer home product, so we kind of need to cater for people in VR that can't basically work that way. And so I asked the question in various channels with ED because it was a little bit difficult to find the information. And then, of course, the reality police came along and did their pissy gatekeeping all over everything. Well, the real aircraft is like that. And it's like, fuck off.
Well, also, it's an option that's available in all of the other aircraft in DCS, which have this kind of technology. And
then it would mean, well, what are you going to do? You're going to get a beam splitter and 2 monitors if you don't have VR. Like, just fucking do one. Anyway, since had an answer that they are planning on doing it. It is planned, and that they understand that it is a requirement. But whether we see that at day one, not sure. Don't know. So if, like me, you have an issue with stereoscopic vision, and eye dominance, we might have to wait for the Apache until they bring that in, which is nonsense.
One other thing to note is that in the F-18, early on before they had that option, they actually got the option in the F-18 very quick, as I recall. Somebody made a shader edit, and that came out almost immediately. So you might be able to mod it, even if it's not an official option at launch.
The response that I got on the ED forum, the official response, which was a little bit snarky and I thought it was unnecessary, was that it's apparently really difficult to do. Well, I'm going to kind of call bullshit on that.
I've no understanding or involvement in like 3D graphical programming, but it doesn't sound like a hard thing to me. But hey, I don't know.
I mean, I think the fact that it's not available at initial release is nonsense. I think it's just nonsense, and it's indefensible. And there we go. That's my opinion on it.
Well, I agree. Like, I don't have the issue that you have, but when I first started flying the F-18 with the helmet-mounted sight in VR, when it was at the time when it was right eye only, I found that actually very, very difficult to deal with. I think I am also left eye dominant. And until they added, I actually use the option both, and for me, that's just way more comfortable in VR. It's way better to have it on both.
It's pretty nonsense that it's not potentially not going to be a thing at launch. What was more nonsense was the like, oh god, never leave a YouTube comment.
What did you do?
I just asked YouTube, and of course had immediate realism police gatekeeping everything and going, oh, that's the fact, that's what the real Apache's like. Just find a razor, shave off your neck beard, and fucking get on with life.
Well, this is UI stuff. Like, I am very much a simulation aficionado. I like my simulation as realistic as possible. And if the machine doesn't have a capability, then that's fair enough. But when it comes to the UI, you need to be able to adapt the UI to the user, because the user is not the very, very narrow field of kind of military users who use the real thing. UI adaptation is absolutely okay in my opinion.
The thing is that I think it speaks, like, the whole realism police thing, and this is a slightly different topic, it kind of speaks more about the person that's coming out with that than the product, because it's like, what? Sorry, your ego can't handle that it's a game. Maybe. Just grow up. We're playing here. It's a game.
Yes. Yes.
We take it very seriously, but you know, until it's approved by, you know, an official body,
well, that's it.
It's a game.
And even then, it's probably a training aid, even if it gets approved.
Yeah, exactly. Like people say, it's not a game, it's a simulator. It's like, I don't actually think you understand what the definition of simulator is.
Yeah.
Because there is a very, very strict definition of what a simulator is, and this isn't it. It is at best a training aid, and if your ego can't handle that, maybe you should go and have a little nap after a snack.
Just to, I want to go back to a question that Fair FM asked a little bit earlier. He was asking, like, why would you hide the monocle shroud? And this is a good question. I totally agree with hiding it personally, because Casmo, along with many others, have said actually when you're wearing the thing, you don't see it. Your brain filters it out. It's like, you know, when you're wearing your glasses, do you see your glasses? Not really.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly it. And it comes down to the fact that what you actually see when you look at something, what you perceive, it's actually only between 20 and 30% is real, effectively. And your brain kind of fills in the rest and basically makes shit up.
Oh yes.
If it doesn't expect to see it, it will disappear. And there's a lot of sort of optical illusions that can demonstrate that fact to you, and they actually have some serious consequences. One of the things that I, for example, have to be conscious of is I ride a motorcycle, and I have to be very careful at junctions because I am I'm not a small object, I'm a fat fucker. But in terms of traffic on the road, I'm a small object, and at a junction, I can get into a position where a driver's blind spot is that doesn't, you know, they don't see me.
Yes.
And it's not that they're not paying attention, they just actually don't see me. We call it SMIDSy, which stands for sorry mate, I didn't see you.
Very good.
Yeah. And it's one of the most common accidents is somebody pulls out of a junction straight into you, you get hit, you come off the bike, and the first thing the driver says is, sorry mate, I didn't see you. But the thing is he genuinely didn't. And yeah, like the way that you scan in an aircraft and things like that, it's all important from that blind spot point of view. So the shroud, it just disappears because your brain doesn't expect to see it, just tunes it out. And yeah, that's why you might want to see it, why you might want to turn it off. I like it. I think it looks pretty cool, so I probably won't turn it off, but you know, everybody can choose. And I think the fact that we've got a choice is a great thing.
Yeah, it's nice to have the choice. I was just thinking back to flight training and human factors again as well. Because as anyone who's done any kind of flight training will know, the you know, visual artifacts are just one part of it. Like there is so much stuff that you just assume and your brain makes up, and hardly anything of what we perceive is real.
It's amazing that we function, basically.
Yes.
How do we actually do this when our brain makes most of it up? Yeah, go and track down some of these optical illusions. If you haven't seen them, some of them will really weird you out. That, you know, it can just make things disappear and they're totally gone. And it certainly, once you've had these things demonstrated, it does change the way that you might operate a vehicle, drive, fly, what have you. Once you're aware of these human factors, you start paying attention a lot more.
Yes.
So, for example, it's the reason why when I'm out riding, in the day I have my motorcycle headlights on full beam. Now I get a lot of stick, and I get a lot of drivers going, "Oh, fucking wanker," and it's like, well, you've seen me.
Yeah, exactly. Mission accomplished.
I'm not dead on your front on your front windscreen, you know.
Yeah, mission accomplished. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. We're basically meat robots, haunted meat robots. That's what we are.
Haunted meat robots. Love it. Yeah. But yeah, that stuff's super interesting. But that's effectively why you might want to choose to hide the shroud, because it would probably be a more realistic view, and it might just bug the tits off you. So
yeah, it's going to annoy me in VR. I know that much. Dave Flute, I hope George is getting stuck into his training, ready for release. Yes, me too.
yes,
I
better
guess,
be good.
I guess at day one we're basically getting Petrovich with a different voice and different name, but that should be fine for early access, I would imagine, if he can do some basic stuff. Obviously we're going to fly together anyway. I bagsy one of your seats.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Is that true? But Byron Farrow, you spend 1 to 2 hours a day with your eyes closed due to blinking.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a really cool. If that is true, that's really cool. I remember somebody telling me that when you sneeze whilst you're driving on the motorway, you will have travelled up to 60 meters by the time before your eyes open again.
Yes. Well, this is
a hell of a long time.
This is the other tricky thing. I'm trying to cast my mind back again to my human factors training. And am I right in saying that when you blink, your vision doesn't go black? What happens is you basically get a freeze frame, and then so basically your brain gets a freeze frame from before you close your eyes, and then you have the one after, and it interpolates in between.
It's something like that. Yeah. And the other one in human factors is that when you scan, when you move your head, that when you do your scan, you should physically move your head. Because if you just do it with your eyes don't move smoothly, they judder.
That's correct.
And the brain fills in, it interpolates effectively between frames.
Yes.
And a small, fast-moving object could get caught in between one of those basically interpolated frames, and you would never see it. Like effectively tweened frame.
Yeah.
And I think depending on what you're flying, if you hold your arm out like straight in front of you, your little finger, if the object is the size of your little fingernail at arm's length, you're already dead. You cannot avoid it.
Yeah, okay.
It's that fast. If you are in a head-to-head, and you see the object is larger than that, you're fucked. That's it. You can't take avoiding action. You're going to collide. So when you think about objects that small, you could miss that in your vision.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing.
Everybody stay at home. Hide under your blanket. It's fucking deadly.
It's very dangerous out in the real world. The thing that you're saying, I remember this. So every time that you move your eye doesn't do smooth movements, as you say. It's really jerking into position. And then it's exactly the same as blinking, as I just described. So you get a freeze frame, then you get the new image, and it interpolates everything in between. So you're not seeing really when you're moving your eyes.
Yeah. So your visual scan, you need to be moving your head because it lessens that update.
Yes.
It's fascinating stuff, and it's totally wildly off tangent, but basically, that's why you can hide the shroud.
That's why you can hide the shroud. And, and of course, the only way to improve your visual scan is not only to keep your eyes still and move your head, but also to stick your tongue out while you're doing it. And that will make your passengers feel very at ease as they watch you operate. Close one eye, stick your tongue out. Anyway.
and make sure to be humble in your flying for your passenger, so that they realize that you're staying on top of things by constantly reminding yourself, what am I doing again?
I love there's I don't even know who this was, but there was a helicopter pilot with a helmet, and written across the back of the helmet it said, "Stop screaming, I'm scared too." And I thought that's so good. That's really, really good.
That's good. Yeah. I like it.
Oh, dear.
Dark humor. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we spent quite a lot of that time on that video. I ended up shuffling us to the introduction video again because there's some fantastic Apache content in there as well. So that's what's actually currently on screen. But if you haven't already, please check out Matt Wagner's most recent video all about the helmet-mounted display. It's a very, very nice bit of content.
And then definitely go and check out Casmo TV's stuff around it as well. He seems to be mirroring everything that's coming out from Matt Wagner and giving the the real Apache pilot's opinion on it. And there's some very valuable information in his videos.
Absolutely. So, back to the newsletter. We have Stable 2.7, which eventually we have Stable 2.7, which we already mentioned. One of the big things that they call out here is that there've been a lot of bug fixes to World War II stuff, which is really good to see, especially because, of course, World War II aircraft are still the only implementation of the advanced damage model that we have so far. Pardon me. And they have said that once that is fully implemented and tested, that it is coming to the modern day aircraft, and I'm very much looking forward to that. That'd be kind of cool. So that's when we start to see things like the cascading failures and effects, which will be quite nice.
Yeah, this damage model, like getting out of the World War II stuff into the modern things. I have excitement for that. What I actually have the biggest excitement for in terms of this damage model, and I know they are intending to do it eventually, is that it then extends to ground vehicles. So things like terminal ballistics and stuff like that is going to be in the ground vehicles, which probably kind of makes combined arms a little bit more of a thing rather than just an arcade game where things have health bars. But I mean, from a point of view of as a pilot attacking, I'm primarily ground attack, so having realistic damage effects on things that you're hitting on the ground, that's going to be a big deal. So.
To be fair to Eagle, they have already done some revamps of the damage to ground vehicles. I don't exactly know when this happened, but I did a bunch of testing, and I found that they have already implemented different armor thicknesses in different aspects. That's in the game, and that works. And they have implemented some limited form of mission kill capability, but only for the most modern vehicles that have been added. Like the older units don't have it, but the most modern vehicles, you can damage them in certain ways that mean they don't fire, which is kind of cool. But it's still very, very limited and very, very basic. It's they have a lot of stuff that they're still to do there, but they have done some things.
I wonder if they're getting around to that at the same time that they've been tidying up things like the textures and adding the new shaders to vehicles for the IR.
I suspect so. I suspect so. Yeah. And the only reason I figured this out was because I was testing out the APKWS, the most ridiculously named weapon on the Harrier, and because I was very, very interested in the multi-purpose penetrator warhead that those rockets have.
Giggity.
I was waiting. I was giving you a chance there, because clearly they're not really intended for taking out main battle tanks. They're far too small. No. But they do have an armor penetrating capability, and I was thinking. Hey, if I hit the engine deck of a main battle tank, can I take it out with these? Because I can't. You can't do any damage to a main battle tank to the front with the MPP warheads.
I don't know if that's new. I don't know if that's new because, for example, you used to not be able to kill a tank in the A10 with the gun from a head-on, but Correct. You could do it from a rear attack.
That's correct. That's always been the case. They did that from kind of the A10 onwards, but that was only applying to cannon rounds. Right. I don't exactly know how they implemented it, but it was only working with guns. This now works with explosions and with warheads and with all kinds of other stuff. I can hammer a T-80 from the front all I want with the MPP rockets, but I can kill it from the back with only 4, maybe 5 rockets. So it's in there, it's implemented, but in a kind of basic form.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if that's true terminal ballistics though, or if it's just zoned hit points.
It's just zoned. It's definitely not
Yeah.
proper terminal ballistics.
Yeah.
But it's still a step up from what we previously had, where it was just
Totally.
1 bar. Yeah.
Totally agree. Ben Nelson asking thoughts on multi-crew dynamic and responsibilities. Ooh. I think it's going to become much more important. We've had a taste of that, I think, with the F-14.
Yeah.
Where people actually have to do their job.
Yeah, well, actually, the F-14 is a very good example because many other multi-crewed aircraft you can have shared responsibility for flight controls, whereas an F-14, the two crew members have entirely different roles and they are not able to do each other's jobs at all. In fact, the F-14 is a very good example,
and arguably. Arguably, the F-14 is not effective without having those defined responsibilities. Okay, I just see it. So me and Rio, F-14 pilot will team up in Apache. I can't decide if I should choose pilot or gunner. So okay, right. I see the context. Okay, you don't. So Apache pilots are both equally trained. They can do either role. And as I understand it, you have various ratings. You have various combat effectiveness ratings. And I think it's like 1 to 3. And like 1 is you're not combat effective. 2 is you're kind of almost there, like you can do everything and all that kind of stuff, but you're probably not ready to be a commander in in a mission. And then combat effectiveness 3, you're good to go. The only requirement is that you can't have 2 people in an aircraft where 1 isn't like fully combat effective rated. I believe it's something along those lines. But for the Apache, yeah, both people they could swap and frequently do. So don't feel that you have to specialize in a CPG role or in a pilot role. Actually, you can do both, and you can swap between the two because they frequently do. Where the Apache is going to be interesting is that there are certain things you can only do in the front seat in the Apache. I believe lasing is one of them. So it's going to, I think be in the same. It's going to be like the F-14, is that you are going to have when you are in that role, you're going to have to properly delegate the responsibilities to be combat effective, because you're going to need your CPG to be your eyes and to be looking around and having the overall picture, So yeah, I think it's going to be an important dynamic, and I think people who master that will do much better with the Apache.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is so much shared functionality between the cockpits, but like startup needs the back cockpit, really. You can't start the aircraft from the front.
That's right. Yeah, you can't start from the front. Yeah.
And the front cockpit has, I forget exactly what it's called, but some of the functionalities are in target acquisition can only be done from the front.
Using the TEDAC, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. So the thing is, you can get the feed from that system in the back cockpit, but you can't fully control it from the back. It's mostly controlled from the front. But apart from that, everything else is shared. The multifunction displays, front and back, can display the same information. Front and back have both got flight controls. Front and back both have the same helmet-mounted displays. So there is a lot of commonality. And as dotChuckles says, the pilots themselves, the crew members, would they're not a front seater isn't always in the front seat. In some missions you might sit in the back and vice versa. So
yeah.
You can be pretty fluid with it, I would say. Do both.
Yeah, do both. It does raise the question. Somebody mentions Strike Eagle with Razbam not planning on implementing an AI
at all.
It's like I have this feeling that the Strike Eagle is going to be problematic to use outside of multiplayer, because in the same vein that, like, yes, you can share a lot of data between the front and back cockpit, the operability is not there. So and the effectiveness, there's a reason why there's a guy in the back. He's got a job to do that isn't flying the plane. Because even am I right in remembering that even Jane's F-15 Strike Eagle had a basic AI, as I recall? I think it did. Yeah.
Because I have these recollections of, I would always fly it from the front. I would get into the target area. I would tell my AI pilot to do something, probably just fly an orbit or fly a waypoint, and then I would jump in the back and do the actual weapons delivery.
And Talk saying, well, who flies DCS single player anyhow? The vast majority of people, actually.
Anyone who's not us, basically.
The vast majority of people fly single player. So it's
it's unfortunate, because I'm super psyched for the F-15, but I worry a little bit about what it's going to be like without AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Gotta be a bit careful what I say.
Or do you?
Or do I? Yeah, fuck it, actually, I don't. It's my opinion.
Yes.
Razbam finishing modules. How
dare you?
Yeah, I know. They have a lot of things that are not finished. And I worry that the F-15 might be something that might remain not finished, because if it's not proving popular, because, well, you can't really use it without having a buddy in multiplayer, like, how much resource are they going to spend on it?
I also wonder, this is a not entirely unrelated opinion, but I also wonder about cannibalization. So, the number of modules available for DCS has been growing and growing, and that, of course, is a very, very, very good thing. And I'm super psyched at all the stuff people have been coming out with.
Totally.
However, what's your return on investment, and is it going down over time? Each time we add a new aircraft, are they making a little bit less money?
See what you're saying? Yeah, I don't know.
Probably not, but it's something that I would think about if I was running one of these businesses.
I just think it's a really, really dumb decision to not put an AI in the F-15.
Yeah.
It's dumb. Really dumb. And I have a feeling it's because they don't know how to. Yeah.
Well, Razbam, as far as developer resource goes, they have, what, 2 guys who do their programming? I forget now.
Not sure.
It's not very many. Like, Razbam is a big team, but the majority of that team are artists and modelers and audio guys, and they have an amazing resource. But when it comes to the actual coding, they don't have that many guys, and they're very, very efficient with their coding, as far as I can see. Which is probably why they're just deciding, okay, this is out of scope. We simply don't have the time or the expertise to do this. Which, in many ways, if that is the case, I'm wildly speculating here, but if that is the case, I would applaud them, because I think that's the hardest thing to do, but it's the right call. I can see the disagreement on your face, but I've got a point, even if you don't agree.
You got a point, but I just feel that if they, I mean, Razbam are making everything, and I just feel if they couldn't implement an AI to allow the F-15 to be used in single player, they shouldn't have done it. They should have left it for somebody else.
Well, I agree. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if it is true that they're not implementing the AI, I mean, do we know that for sure? Is that confirmed? That
That's confirmed.
Confirmed. Come from the horse's mouth.
It's in their Q&A document.
Right. Yeah, I just don't think they should have done it. I think if they couldn't implement that aircraft with the ability to actually use the aircraft properly with an AI, shouldn't have done it. And I think, and now it feels a bit more like a cash grab than actually making a module.
I'm trying to find it now because they had the Q&A document somewhere on the forums, and I now can't see it. I wonder if they took it down, because that's interesting. There was a document here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to hold this up too long. I just wanted to to see look very quickly.
Yeah, it's
no, I can't see it anymore. It was here before because Razbam themselves even linked to it. Oh, that is the right. Mark S. Okay, you just won the internet. They should make a single seat F-15E just for air-to-air. Bravo. Oh dear. That's actually very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, the thing is, Channel Right saying, I mean, they will have to give it an AI jester. They're not.
They've said they won't.
That's why I've got lots of worries about this module. And I don't think if they were not, like, I mean, I have a bit of a love-hate thing with Razbam. Like, I think they pick really interesting modules. They're making stuff that I'm super excited for, but they seem to spend a lot of time half-assing it until there's a huge outcry, and then they go, oh, okay, I suppose we better fix it. Because that's how the Mirage went.
Yeah.
It was pretty half-assed. And then there was a big outcry, and then the French Air Force stepped up, and then they actually did stuff with it. And the Harrier kind of went the same way. It was pretty half-assed for a long time, and then everybody got really annoyed with them, and then they went, oh, all right. And here we go again, F-15, literally half-assed, and this is
half the required number of asses.
Frustrating.
I have to say, your analysis appears quite accurate to me. Today, the Mirage looks like it's in a really good state. Today, I'm mostly a Harrier pilot in DCS, and I have to say, the Harrier, while not complete, is very, very good, in my opinion. Like, they've done great work now on it. But there was a long time when it was a pretty shoddy product.
Yeah. And how long was that product out without a manual?
Well, almost 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's half-assery.
Yeah, it's nice to have a manual. Actually, I have to say, I've now had a chance to properly dive into the Baltic Dragon Harrier manual, and it is exceptional. This is a very, very dedicated, detail-oriented individual. Very, very good work.
Oh yeah, no disrespect to Baltic Dragon. I just feel that he should have been given the resources earlier.
Yeah, I'm not even clear if he's an employee of Razbam or if he just. I don't know how that works. He does a bunch of stuff.
Got so annoyed.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff for Razbam, so I'm assuming they pay him. But I don't exactly know how that works.
Yeah. It's there we go. I'm just really, really worried about the F-15 without any ability to use it in anything other than multiplayer. I think it's a misstep. I think it's a really big misstep. Don't think they should have done it if they didn't have the ability to put some kind of rudimentary AI in. And I think they could have easily brought that resource in.
Contact Heat Blur, they know how to do everything.
Apparently so.
They're even making a Typhoon now. Yes. I don't know how we got on this topic anymore, but
multi-crew. Talking about multi-crew.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Someone mentioned George. Yeah, that's quite right.
Yeah. Not like us to go off on a tangent.
No, certainly not. But let's use that Baltic Dragon link, because one of the next things that I was going to talk about is that there's this article here in Stormbirds. They're talking about Baltic Dragon's Iron Flag campaign for the A10C.
Yes, and this is apparently an attempt to get people flying the A10 again.
Yes. This looks really, really cool. I love the fact that it's basically designed as a training campaign. So it's all based at the Nellis test and training range, and it has a story and voice acting, and so it's basically like cross between a soap opera and training. And I think this is actually a really cool concept. I like this idea. It's not released yet, but it's apparently releasing soon, and we've gotten to the stage where we even have teaser trailers. So let's tease away and have a little look at this while we talk about that. Bringing Bert back to DCS. I love the concept behind this, and as I was just saying, Baltic Dragon does really, really good stuff. So I can only assume that this is going to be of a pretty high quality.
And I think, like the voice acting is supposed to be pretty good as well. So
I may be wrong, but I'm going to tell you that in a very, very long time ago, I voiced somebody in a Baltic Dragon campaign.
Really? Did you?
I think I did. You actually, if people dig through DCS campaigns, I think I'm actually featuring in about 4 of them at this stage.
Wow!
And because I don't always entirely pay attention, I can't even tell you which ones. So I'm in some DCS campaigns. I don't necessarily know which ones, but I do remember talking to Baltic Dragon years ago, and I think I provided him with some recordings. So maybe I'm in one of them somewhere.
Yeah, soap opera elements. Okay, all right. Some people will enjoy it, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's me maybe overstating it. It's simply it has a story. It has a story. So that sounds kind of cool. And I would assume that this can be flown multiplayer as well. Deep hack is an Easter egg. Yeah. Actually, chat. If you can find me in a DCS campaign, I know that I've done a few, and I have sometimes done accents or altered my voice, although not very much. So I might not always quite sound like myself, but I'm out there. So find me. Tell me where I am. I can't remember anymore. Oh dear.
Do you know? Actually, funny enough, I think I remember you talking about that back in the day. Like. Yes. I think, I seem to recollect that.
I was also, if anybody ever flew the JAR design A320 in X-Plane, I was also a downloadable first officer pack for the JAR design A320. So, yes. Oh dear. Gear up, sir.
Sean Connery style accent changes, i.e. Not at all. Sean Connery and Hunt for October. Okay, Sean, here's your motivation. You're a Russian captain. Now we're going to need a really, really good Russian accent from you. Do you think you can do that? Well, yes, I think I'll have a go at that. Hello-shki.
Okay, comrades.
Brilliant, Sean. Well done. Knocking it out of the park again.
Yes, exactly. Go home and beat your wife.
Careful what you shoot at, right? And there's things in here that don't react too well to bullets.
Oh dear, amazing, absolutely amazing. So yes, the Iron Flag campaign coming to a screen near you soon. They haven't given an announcement, a release date, but it's supposed to be quite.
Do you know what? Good to see the A10 coming out again.
Yes,
with something big and something good. It's she's like that promiscuous girlfriend that dumped you as a teenager. You just keep coming back every now and then.
The A10 is very, very good, especially now with all the updates. We still don't have our new radio, sadly, but otherwise it's very cool with the updates.
sorry, I just have to correct chat. He was indeed Lithuanian. He was the schoolmaster of Vilnius. There we go. Yeah.
That was the excuse.
That was his name. That was his nickname. He was the Vilnius schoolmaster. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
No, not in the original book. He was Lithuanian.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, that is all of the news that we have for this week. That was everything we had. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wonder if we should do our usual and pimp out the VAF as we always do.
We can always do that.
dotChuckles with his beautiful branding on his stream there. Virtual Air Force, doink. Yep, as always, we would direct anybody who is interested in flying in multiplayer with a squadron to look at the show notes below. You'll see there's a link to the Virtual Air Force Discord. Jump on there to talk to anybody you like in the lobby. We currently have 2 squadrons operating. We have 2 squadron flying the F-16, and we have 3 squadron flying the Harrier. We are looking to open more squadrons, perhaps F-18, perhaps A-10, perhaps JF-17. We're just looking for people with expertise in those airframes. Everybody's always welcome.
We're kind of almost at critical mass for F-18 for launching an F-18 squadron. We're just still needing somebody with a bit of SME.
Exactly.
That can take that on. But yeah, and I think people are enjoying the the two kind of the dual approach that we have, that we understand that real life is a thing. So we have members who are informal and are effectively freelancers and just fly for the fun of it with us when they have the time. And then we have our numbered squadrons that people who want to take things a bit more seriously, want to put in some training and some time, and fly in a more organized way can do that. But we don't force it upon people. It is your choice.
Yes, absolutely. So please, if you have any interest in flying with us, go ahead and join the Discord, have a chat with us. We're doing a mission night every Thursday. We're often flying training on Tuesdays, and all the nights in between, people are doing a lot of ad hoc flying and flying on other servers as well. So there's usually something going on if you want to come and fly with us. And then there's me. I'm Deepak. I do a video premiere every Saturday, which you've perhaps just watched. I'm doing a tutorial series on the JF-17 right now. Most recent one was about the C-802 AKG air-launched cruise missile. Next week, I'm probably going to cover the laser rockets, which are quite fun in the JF-17. And it's not a tornado, that's right, Tog. It's very much not a tornado. It's more, I was describing it to dotChuckles a few weeks back, it's more of the Honda Jazz of jet aircraft. Reasonably priced, gets you where you need to go.
Yeah, it's a good description. Yeah. Good description. I like it. Yeah.
I really like the aircraft. I know that very few people have any interest in it whatsoever, but I think it's a cool aircraft. It's nice. So I'm going to be continuing that series, and of course, immediately after that premiere, each week we go on to the DCS news, which just happens to be what you are watching right now. Don't you know? Cool. Well, I think that's everything we have for this week. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Fly safe, everybody. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.